Hello there, Cubs fans, and welcome back. It's AJ, your average fan here. We are going to discuss the Cubs week in review. This will be the first one for the Cubs season. Uh, Quite the eventful week, I would say. The Cubs get a sweep over the Athletics in Sacramento. They even the series 2-2 in Arizona. So kind of a little bit to go over. Um, we will just briefly touch on the Dodgers series since there was no weekend review for that week of play, given that they went back into spring training. So we will touch on that. The bats were uh, pretty cold for the most part in that Dodgers series. Not a whole lot happened with the Cubs in Japan. The Dodgers outscoring the Cubs uh, pretty decently in both games, and the Dodgers taking those two games, putting the Cubs 0-2 to start the year. And then we move on to Arizona, a four-game set where the Cubs had a chance to win three games to take that series, but ultimately they wind up splitting that series. Really good offensive production during that series as well. The offense really kind of just pulled a 180 and just kind of clicked once the domestic opener came around. And yeah, I didn't really have any qualms with how the Cubs played in Arizona. It was just obviously the bullpen had given up 8 runs in that third game of the series. So instead of them being able to take the series W on that Sunday, they wind up evening the series. So that put them at 2-4 on the season, and then the Cubs rolled in to uh, then the Cubs they rolled into the Athletics, and man, oh man, was it just an offensive showdown for the Cubs hitters. People hitting home runs everywhere. We had a mix of a lot of different things: small ball, long ball. We even had people that, while they were batting 0 for on the day, if they got a walk, they managed to score a run as well. So really good things out of the Cubs in that Athletics series. The Cubs as a whole to start the season, I feel like, outside of that Dodgers series, which we could just kind of shelf that one. I just don't think that anybody was ready for that Dodgers series, given that they basically started that series like three-quarters of the way through spring training. Not everyone was ready. We didn't know what the pitching was really looking like. And so we really had to kind of take that one game at a time, and then which unfortunately we did end up losing both of those games. But then again, a much better showing in Arizona. Like I said, I mean, the Cubs pitching was really good outside of the eighth inning in that Saturday game where they gave up 8 runs. But then again, that bullpen, they kind of gained some redemption against the Athletics where they didn't allow a single run any of the innings that the bullpen pitched. And that also goes for Eli Morgan and also Pearson. Those were the two guys that I was worried about going into this series after what happened in Arizona. I thought that if any of the games were close, during this three-game set in Sacramento, that having them come up to pitch could end up being pretty dangerous, which they wind up pitching in a game that was another absolute blowout. But again, they did not give up any runs whatsoever. So again, absolutely fantastic work out of the bullpen during that athletic series. A nice bounce back series for them, giving them some confidence going into the home series against the Padres, which is going to be significant because the Padres are still undefeated. They have not lost a game yet. I do think that if anyone can hand them their first L, it will be the Chicago Cubs. Um, a couple of notables to start the season. I'm Dansby Swanson, Seiya Suzuki, and Kyle Tucker. These guys are off to a very hot start. Seiya Suzuki and Dansby Swanson, especially, these guys are off to better starts than what we typically see out of them. I would throw Nico Horner in there too, but he has not started every game yet. He is on a semi-light schedule right now while he is finishing up his recovery from that surgery, or I would put him in there as well. Uh, we'll just look at Kyle Tucker's slash line here. I think that his slash line looks really good. In 37 at-bats in 9 games, he's got 12 hits, 10 runs, 5 extra base hits, 4 home runs, and 11 RBIs. He's also taken 8 walks while striking out 6 times. That is the Kyle Tucker that we were looking to get in this trade. I really hope that Kyle Tucker does re-sign with the Chicago Cubs. You know, I think that when you're looking at a guy like Kyle Tucker, everybody was worried about what he was looking like in spring training in that Dodgers series. He didn't really look all that great. But then the minute that they got into that domestic opener, all the way through the series against Sacramento, man, he really turned it up to 110 because again, I mean, he homered in 4 consecutive games. He's getting his doubles. He's leading. He's tied with Seiya Suzuki for the most RBIs on the team right now. And this is all things, that are absolutely awesome to see. To follow that up, Seiya Suzuki, I'll talk about him too. He's looking really, really good. He's being more aggressive on that first pitch inside the zone, which I like. So even if, he's starting behind, he's not just watching the ball go by him. I also noticed that he's not really watching a whole lot of balls go past him for strike three right down the middle of the plate. He's swinging at a lot more third strikes, which I like to see, and I think that it's really paying off with him too because in 9 games, 40 at bats at DH, he's got 11 hits, he's got 7 runs, 2 extra base hits, 4 home runs, and 11 RBIs with 4 walks. His strikeout number still a little high at 17. I would like to see that come down a little bit. Um, he's still getting, squeezed on the outside part of the plate where, you know, pitches that could absolutely go as a ball or going as a strike and not really his way. But that strikeout number is also a little elevated because he's swinging at a lot more third strike pitches, which is good. I like to see him be more aggressive all the way around. I do think that with that aggression, with his willingness to swing at more pitches, maybe pitchers will try to challenge him more on the outside or the inside, up or down. So maybe in turn that aggression can also turn into more walks and lower that strikeout number just a little bit. But I do like seeing the aggression early out of him. Pretty much the first 3 seasons that we've had him, he's very conservative. He starts off very slow before he gets into his superstar-ish type stretch that he usually has is at the end of maybe May, but more or less June and July when he really starts hitting. Again, I'm not too worried about that strikeout number just yet, just because of the aggression. I mean, the hits are coming, the RBIs are there, his extra base hits are there. So I mean, it's really paying off for him so far. So I do think that as pitchers try to challenge him more outside of the plate, whether that's up, down, left, and right, I think that those walks and that strikeout number, I think the walks will go up and the strikeouts will come down. So we'll just have to see there. Nico Horner in his first 6 games, in 24 at bats, he's got 8 hits. He's earned 5 runs. It doesn't have any extra base hits yet, but he does have 3 RBIs. He does have 3 walks and just 1 strikeout. So even in that small sample size, this appears to be the Nico Horner that we had more in 2023, where you didn't really see Nico swinging at a lot of everything like he did in 2024. He's punching the ball the opposite way with runners on second and third, which is really good to see. So really, I like what I'm seeing out of Nico Horner so far. I only feel like this is going to get better as he wraps up his journey with that surgery, and he's back to 100%. I think that that will only help him in the long run. I think that he's getting back to that 2023 Nico, not trying to put the ball out of the park, but just put the ball in play, move everybody along. That's what Nico does best. And so far, I have seen plenty of it. So that's excellent for her. Next up, we got Dansby Swanson. In 9 games and 36 at bats, he's looking at 8 hits. He's got 5 runs, 3 extra base hits. He's got 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, 3 walks, and 8 strikeouts. So he's starting better than he did the previous 2 seasons, I would say. The strikeout number isn't horrible. He's just getting the ball in some fairly unlucky spots. Him and Ian Happ both. They're just hitting the ball in fairly unlucky spots. And also too, I think that 2 of those strikeouts really shouldn't even be there. There's really 2 horrendous strikeouts against um, the Athletics that were the pitches were clearly out of the zone, and he got rung up. And the second one he wound up arguing. So I do I do think that Dansby Swanson is going to be just fine. I think that he will do just okay for now until the weather gets a little warmer and he starts hitting, because he kind of follows that same line that Seiya Suzuki does. He could be an okay hitter right now, 250, 260, maybe pushing 270. But once the summer months rolls around, usually he starts hitting a little bit better. So he's a lot like Suzuki in that regard, in my opinion. So I think that as long as he kind of continues where he's at, I don't think that there really should be any problems whatsoever. So then when we look at Michael Busch in 8 games, 27 plate appearances, he's got 7 hits. He's earned 4 runs, 1 home run, 4 RBIs, 3 walks, and 7 strikeouts. So really, I mean, his numbers aren't really horrible either. Um, Again, he's one of the guys that he'll have Justin Turner take spots against lefties at first base. So really, Michael Busch is only facing righties for the most part. Uh, I do think that, you know, I do think that he has a very good eye on the plate. I think that there are a couple more walks on some questionable pitches that he probably could have earned. Uh, Michael Busch seems to be, if I could really compare him to somebody else, I think that his vision for the plate is pretty similar to Ian Happ. I think that Michael Busch ended up with a pretty decent on base percentage last year, comparatively speaking to the rest of the league on, what typically, a full year of service time would show. But, I think that as the season goes on, I think that, having Turner in to really go up against those lefties, because that's where Michael Busch really struggled. I think that as the season goes on, that will only help Michael Busch for one, two, having that veteran presence to really help him with his defense and also help him to recognize pitches and help him find his sweet spot where he wants pitches to be to swing at. I think that that will also be really crucial to Michael Busch's development. I'm all around looking for a much better year out of Michael Busch going into year 2. And so far, what I've seen in Arizona and against the Athletics, I think that Michael Busch is, started off a little bit stronger than he did last year, which is also understandable because last year was his first full year of MLB service time. So, I would say that Michael Busch could end up being a lot like an Ian Happ type hitter when it comes to his on base percentage. Obviously, Michael Busch is not a switch hitter like Ian Happ, so that can also play into his favor just a little bit. But we'll kind of see how the season rolls along for Michael Busch. As I said, when we do these weekly podcasts like we're doing right now, a couple of key players I will keep an eye on will be Michael Busch. It'll be Pete Crow Armstrong, Matt Shaw, and Miguel Amaya. Those will probably be the 4 guys that we really kind of key in on week to week in these weekly podcasts. Even though we'll go through everybody else and their stats, we'll really kind of key in on those core young group of players. Speaking of young players, we will move on to Pete Crow Armstrong. His leather in the outfield has been outstanding. Especially against the Dodgers. Even though we lost both of those games, he showed really well against them. And again, once that domestic opener came along in Arizona, he, along with some other players, really kind of flipped the switch at the plate as far as getting hits, getting on base via walks, that sort of thing. So if we look at him in 9 games played, he's got 35 at bats, 7 hits. He's earned himself 6 runs across the plate, 3 extra base hits. And what I really want to point out about this, his speed. Some of these extra base hits wouldn't even be singles for most people. I mean, well, they would be singles, but I mean, he's just so fast that he can really stretch it out into an extra base hit. And when there's nobody on base ahead of him, or he's the first one up to begin an inning, his speed just really helps be able to get the Cubs on the board. And I mean, we saw that in the first game against the Athletics. We saw that in the third game against the Athletics, and we also saw that in Arizona. I mean, his speed is just unmatched. I mean, his speed is crazy. Uh, so he's got 3 RBIs, he's got 3 walks, and 9 strikeouts. The thing I want to point out about this walks, I saw a stat that came across the Locked On Cubs podcast when I was watching yesterday morning. It took Pete Crow Armstrong 11 or 12 games to get his first walk last year, and he already has 3, so we could see that he's definitely maturing there a little bit. He has 9 strikeouts. That looks to be a little high to me. I only say that because there was the end of that second game in Sacramento, and then the beginning of the third game in Sacramento. It looked like he was a little frustrated, and he was trying so hard to get a hit that he was swinging at pitches that were absolutely out of the zone. And you could see it in his face too, especially when he was the last man out of the inning. You could just, when the camera pans to him, you could see that he knew he shouldn't be swinging at that. Granted, he did salvage that third game. He went 2 for 4. He wound up calming down just a little bit to get a couple of hits on the day. But I have no reason to believe that strikeout number will stay kind of high. I think that will, oh, excuse me, hiccup. I think that number will normalize a little bit. I think that will come down as the season goes along. I also think that his walk rate may potentially go up a little bit compared to last year too. I think that a full year in the MLB service, similar to Michael Busch, I think that after a full year, just his plate vision and discipline will get a little bit better. And he's already got 2 stolen bases. Horner's got 3. So I think that the second year will be really critical for his development, not so much in the outfield because we already know what he is. He's just fast. I mean, we saw him, now granted, it was against a rather slower player. I can't remember the player's name off the top of my head right now. Oh, Naylor. It was Josh Naylor in Arizona. Granted, it was Josh Naylor, but he was 10 feet off of the warning track and gunned him down at third on a tag up. Um, I know that it's Josh Naylor, but you got to understand there's some people that don't have the arm that PCA has that would not be able to make that play. And not only did he gun him down, I mean, he absolutely darted that ball on a bullseye uh, to Matt Shaw at third. I mean, it was insane how fast the ball got there and how accurate it was. I mean, he's going to be he could be like Jason Hayward levels of Gold Glove in the outfield for the Cubs, and I would love to see that. I really would. I think that year 2 he could be a potential Gold Glove finalist, if not a winner, definitely a finalist. As we move down here, we look at Ian Happ in 9 games played. He's got 38 plate appearances, 7 hits, uh, 6 runs across the plate. He's got 1 extra base hit, a home run, 5 RBIs, 7 walks, and 10 strikeouts. Now, similar to Dansby Swanson, there's a couple of these strikeouts that I don't necessarily put on Ian Happ. They are some where some pitches were absolutely diabolical that should not have been called strikes. So I really can't. I would say that strikeout number for Ian Happ looks to be a little bit inflated at the moment. But I think that his batting average isn't quite where we would see it for Ian Happ yet, just because he's had some very unlucky hitting on both sides, whether he's batting lefty or righty. It seems like he is just finding very unfortunate spots that just happen to have a glove there. I think that that will obviously get better as the season goes along. I mean, we know what Ian Happ is. He tends to end up around a 270, 280 hitter, 10 to 15 home runs, somewhere in there. If the wind's really blowing out at Wrigley, maybe he could get up to 18 to 20. I think that also, too, when you're adding people like Kyle Tucker into the lineup, and also Seiya Suzuki, who's hitting better already because of Kyle Tucker, uh, Ian Happ isn't really having to go and get those home runs in the leadoff spot. Really, the only thing he has to do is just get on base because we've already seen just in the Arizona and Sacramento series alone, Kyle Tucker and Seiya Suzuki is going to end up doing a ton of damage, and it doesn't matter who bats second or third in the order, whether it's Tucker Suzuki or Suzuki Tucker, they're just going to do tons of damage. So really, you put Ian Happ in that leadoff spot solely for his on base percentage because he does have a fairly good on base percentage because he does take his walks. So again, I mean, that's just another thing to watch for. I would like to see that strikeout rate normalized. Like I said, I don't think that all of it is solely on Ian Happ, so I do think that that will get better as the season goes on. So, with that on base percentage, Kyle Tucker and Suzuki have such a chance to do a lot of damage. And we also haven't talked about how much Kyle Tucker can really affect Dansby Swanson because, I mean, Dansby Swanson, if he's hitting fourth in the order behind those two, Dansby Swanson also has the opportunity to do a ton of damage too. But as we move along here, we got Matt Shaw. He has played 9 games, 34 plate appearances, 7 hits. He has scored across 9 times. He's got 1 extra base hit, a home run, 3 RBIs, 5 walks, and 11 strikeouts. Now, when I look at uh, Matt Shaw, I could see him being an in-between guy, kind of like a Nico Horner. I would think that he could play those bat to ball skills. I think that he could be a high on base percentage guy towards the end of the season when it comes down to it. But then also on the flip side to that, I can also see him being a little bit more like Suzuki and Tucker, where he's hitting more home runs. I think that he could be a good mix of both. It's just his batting stance is awfully weird. I got to admit it. His stance is really goofy looking. I hope that it pays off for him. Honestly, I really do. I think that it will, just because it's something different. So I mean, it just him having that weird stance is something that could throw pitchers off. You never know. The strikeout rate a little high to begin the year, which is to be expected. I mean, it's his first time up in the MLB at MLB service level. It looks like he'll be there all year round for us, so there's also that. So there's a couple of things to look at. Basically, his walks and his strikeouts. That is one thing that I really want to kind of keep an eye on as we progress through the season. Not so much of, um, his doubles, triples, home runs, not necessarily that, but what's his walk rate and what's his strikeout rate? I think that's kind of how I'm going to determine how good he does at the plate. Obviously, if he's a guy that starts hitting home runs, that would be an awfully big bonus. But if you look at just the defensive side of things, I do think that he has been one massive upgrade over what we had last year in Paredes and Morel. I would go as far as to say there's already been a couple of times that he's already saved runs this year. So I think that the other thing too is Justin Turner, while being predominantly at first base, he could really help Matt Shaw over at third because when he was with the Dodgers, he did play third base quite a bit. Talking about Turner, so Turner could help him with his defensive side with Matt Shaw over at third, so that could also be a really helpful thing too. But when it comes to the bottom of the order guys like Shaw, Amaya, Kelly, um, you even put Michael Bush down there in like the 7 hole. Their production so far this year as comparative to last year, what our production looked like at the bottom of the order, the production looks absolutely great. I mean, I'm gonna put Amaya and Kelly together here in the same conversation as we talk about them. But Amaya's got 5 games, 20 at bats. He's got 6 hits. He's came across home plate 1 time. 4 extra base hits, all doubles. 7 RBIs, 4 strikeouts. And when we look at Kelly in 12 games played, or I'm sorry, in 4 games played, he's got 12 at bats, 4 runs come across the plate, 5 hits. He's got a double. He's got a 3 run or a triple, a home run. He has a cycle. First Cub to hit a cycle since Mark Grace 1993. Awesome stat line there. Good for Carson Kelly. 6 RBIs, 5 walks, in 1 strikeout. I think that depending on how Craig Counsell platoons these two guys, Kelly and Amaya, this could be really dangerous in this catcher's spot because I think that Amaya and his development into his second full year is going to be really fun to watch because he will definitely probably be more the Contreras type power hitter. And Carson Kelly will probably be the guy that will get on base via walk or push runs across if there are already guys on base. I think that Carson Kelly has already shown quite a bit that he's able to do that. Just in the first 2 series that I've seen him play in, Amaya, he's looked really good outside of the 4 strikeouts. So really, this catcher's spot in the 9 hole could be super dangerous for anybody that goes up against them. I think that they look fantastic so far. As we look at the bench pieces, we have John Birdie, Turner, and Bruhan. Birdie in 4 games, he's got himself 12 at bats. He's got 4 hits, come across the plate twice. He has a strikeout. Turner in 5 games, 10 at bats. He's got 2 hits, came across the plate 1 time. He has an RBI. He's walked twice and struck out once. Bruhan, in just 1 game, he shows zeros across the board. So he must have just been a defensive substitution. And then Gage Workman in 2 games, 3 at bats, 2 strikeouts. I think that this front 9 or your batting 9 looks a lot stronger to begin the year than it really has uh, all year long. And if we're going to look at uh, the pitching, Justin Steele in 3 games, he has a 2-1 record, a 6.89 ERA. He really dropped that down in his last 2 starts. Um, you know, so Justin Steele is one of those guys who is just going to labor for you all year long. He's got 15 innings pitched, 15.2, I'm sorry. He has 12 earned runs, so that earned run being up there just a little bit, I have no doubts believing that that will come down as the year goes on. I will attribute some of that to the weird spring training that they had with that Dodgers series in the middle of it. Ben Brown, 1-1. He has a 5.87 ERA, 7.2 innings pitched, 5 earned runs on 10 hits. Tyone, he's 1-1, a 6.97 ERA. Again, I have no problems believing that that will come down, especially out of what we saw in his last start. I think that he could definitely show some pitching strength if he continues to go on the up and up for the Cubs. Quick mention on Steele, the home run ball has bit him early. He's already given up 5 home runs. I think that that will come down as the season progresses. We're just going to have to kind of keep an eye on that. I think once he starts playing some games at home and he figures out his slider, I think that his slider is going to be the big factor in all this. His slider just isn't there right now. He's not getting it down and away from right-handed hitting. He's really hanging that slider right through the heart of the zone. So once he gets that slider figured out, I have no problems believing that Justin Steele will be just fine. But as we move along here, Shota Imanaga, 1-0, 0.82 ERA. He has 1 earned run in that start. So I believe that as the year goes on, Shota Imanaga will be another just a Justin Steele type thing. He's going to be an absolute ace for us. The bullpen, we'll just kind of talk about the bullpen as a whole. The only people that I really want to talk about is Nate Pearson and Eli Morgan. These are 2 guys. I guess we could put Ryan Presley in there as well. These are 3 guys that we really want to keep the eye on. Eli Morgan and Nate Pearson did a lot better in their outing against the A's didn't allow any runs, which was fantastic, but they did get blown out and allow those uh, the 8 runs against Arizona. So I mean, as long as they're on the up and up after the Athletics series, I guess we'll just kind of keep an eye on them because guys like Porter Hodge, Matthew Boyd, I mean they have a 0 ERA. They're looking really good. Colin Ray has a 0 ERA. Merriweather with a 0 ERA. So really, it's just Presley, Pearson, and Morgan that we got to keep an eye on for uh, for that uh, for that bullpen. As long as they get it figured out, I think that the bullpen will be pretty stacked for the Cubs. Now, with that, we will move on into our next week preview. We have 2 series coming up next week until our next Thursday off day. We have 3 against the Padres, 3 against the Rangers at home. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are 1:20 start times. Monday, Tuesday are 6:40 start times, and then a 1:20 start time against the Rangers on Wednesday. Yeah, so with the Cubs, no, I can't look at the pitching matchups. Hmm, that's unfortunate. Um, yeah, here, let me just do it this way. Let's just get it pulled up right here real quick. All right, do it this way. Just looking at the scoreboard. So, on Friday, tomorrow's game, it'll be Imanaga versus Vasquez for the Padres. Imanaga making his 3rd start of the year. Excited to see what Imanaga does in his first start at home. I would anticipate Imanaga being able to go 6 innings if the San Diego Padres don't get to him early. I think that Imanaga has a really good chance to give the bullpen some help. Keeping the bullpen fresh is going to be huge for this series. So if Imanaga could go 6, maybe 7 innings, depending on how well he pitches against the Padres, I think that will look really nice. On Saturday, it is Boyd going up against Pivetta. Boyd showing as 0-0. I know this will be his second start. He just didn't have a decision in his first start. Pivetta, he's 1-0 with a 0 ERA. Again, I think a safe bet for Boyd would probably be to go to 5, maybe 5 innings. As we move on to Sunday, where is my game? Here we go. We got Ben Brown making his 3rd start. He is 1-1 with a 587 against Hart. He is 1-0 with a 360. I think that Ben Brown, if his stuff is there, man, he's another guy that could go 6, maybe 7 innings if his stuff is really there. I really think he can. And then when we go into Monday to start that Rangers series, uh, our pitching order should change over. It shows up as to be determined, but it should be Steele, Tyone, and Managa. We will preview the Rangers series more as the Rangers series starts. But yeah, as far as Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it will really be up to the starting pitching. The Padres are currently undefeated. And I think that, the Cubs, and the way that they're swinging the bat, they have the opportunity to be the first team to hand them a loss. So we will see what happens with that we will see what happens with that. I do have a belief that our starting pitching will have a strong showing. I do think that they could all go at least 5, potentially 6, to help that bullpen a little bit, keep that bullpen fresh. I think that as long as Kyle Tucker and Suzuki keep performing the way that they are, I think if once he's at home, I think if he and Happ gets himself a good series going, I think that the offense really, really could just absolutely bulldoze uh, through the Padres, even though they're undefeated. Again, I think that PCA, Nico Horner with his speed, and Matt Shaw, that was something I didn't even talk about. Matt Shaw's a fast guy, man. I mean, he's really fast. So, I mean, those three with their speed, if you have guys like, if Ian Happ can get lucky with some base hits, find some outfield grass, Dansby Swanson just keeps doing what he's doing, Kyle Tucker and Suzuki, I have no problems believing that this will be a very entertaining series to watch. Ladies and gentlemen, Cubs fans, you let me know down in the comment section below what you think. Do you like what you're seeing out of the Cubs so far? It was my hope to go an even 4-4, 5-4. Yeah, it was basically my goal to go 500 going into home. We're one game. We are at 500, or I'm sorry, we are a game above 500. We really had a chance to be 2 games above had it not been for that bullpen choke job in Arizona. But with that, we are still above 500 going into our first home series. I think that is some feel-good news. Let me know what you guys think about the Padres series coming up. And with that, my friends, we will catch you tomorrow post-game. You guys have a good rest of your evening, a good day tomorrow. We will catch you guys later.